Hey guys, welcome back to the Waterlad podcast presented to you by Betcha, and here's a little sample of what's to come in this episode. How many concussions did you have all up?
So I played 10 years, right, and I'm pretty comfortable at least 3 or 4 a year. We played a semi-final in Durban, I'm pretty sure it was, and I took a really big hit in that game. And it was a big prop, blatant elbow to the head, and it knocked me out. I was just so fatigued. I was getting home. I drove home between trainings, and I'd wake up in my car in my garage, and I was so tired. I was just so ill.
Yeah.
I was not a human being.
Does your brain health scare you?
Stats don't look good for me going forward. That's really hard to say, but that's where I'm at.
What a lad, what a lad, what a lad, what an absolute lad.
Well, lad, today's guest was once one of the toughest little halfbacks in our game. He grew up in country New South Wales before crossing the ditch to New Zealand in his early 20s, which then saw him dominate the NPC with Auckland, which meant a Blues contract, and then 70 games for them, which then saw him even pull on the black jersey and become All Black 1018. Known for his competitiveness and never backing down, he played the game as hard as anyone, but a concerning number of concussions brought his career to an early end at just the age of 30. Since then, he's become a firefighter, a commentator, a massive voice for player welfare, and even developed the first brain scanner to detect concussions, NeuroCheck. He's honest, passionate, and a seriously good lad. It is, of course, the great Steve Devine. Welcome, mate.
Good to be here. I'm not surprised. I didn't develop it, the NeuroCheck, but I am involved with sort of getting it around New Zealand. But certainly, I don't want to claim that
You're the guy
anyone who knows
who's created it.
Anyone who knows me know that I don't have the brain power to create something like this.
What was your influence in it?
I got approached by it's an Aussie company.
Oh, yeah.
That have developed it and invented it as such. So I got approached by them if I want to be involved. I was like, yeah, let's find out some more. I actually, the first person I touched base with was my my doctor, my rugby doctor, Dr. Stephen Cara, who I was like his ground one. I was number one in the head knock space, and he's since gone on, and he's probably now New Zealand's number one doctor.
Oh, true.
Around the brain and concussion. So I touched base with Doc as the first port of call and said, this is what's been thrown in front of me. What do you think? And he had a good look at it, looked at the studies and whatnot, and he seems to think that it can be a pretty useful tool to use alongside a doctor.
Yeah.
In the professional game. And when there isn't a doctor in a professional game, then it's a pretty damn useful tool. Yeah,
mate, it could be an absolute game changer. Obviously, concussion's been massive on this podcast, especially the last few weeks after Shane's passing and Holly's episode. My inbox is still blowing up with people messaging me around their struggles with brain injuries or concussions or whatever it might have been. But it's a massive topic in the game at the moment.
Well, it's not just the game that it's a topic. It's just a massive topic.
Yeah,
the workplace, car accidents, like it's just it is a massive issue in society. And I guess for a long time, even when I went through it, but just no one knew.
Yeah.
Initially, the doctors thought I had some sort of fatigue syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'd been knocked out 4 times in 3 weeks,
4 times in 3 weeks.
It just wasn't even an option. It was from being knocked out. Like they thought you've got a fatigue syndrome. We'll have a look at it, do some bloods and those sorts of things. And it took a little while to hang on a minute. This might be from the brain more so than anything else. And then we sort of went down a bit of a path. So there's a lot of people around the country. I for 20 years I've had people reach out and say that they're struggling and what works, what doesn't work, and it's we've all been there. And it's a big topic throughout the country, not just rugby.
How is your head now?
I'm really good if I look after myself. So I still get injections in my head, my neck, and my temples. If I keep on top of them, I'm really good. But
what sort of injections do you get?
I get Botox injections.
Oh, true.
Long story. So I went down the drug path, so that literally the doctors were saying we'll throw a dart at the dartboard and eventually we'll get something right. And I was on these horrible medications to try and stop the migraines. I never had a migraine in my life until my last head knock. Played for Auckland, and I woke up the next day with a migraine, and I pretty much had, 3 to 4 a week for 2 years.
Wow.
And so I just needed the migraines to stop, and I couldn't really function as a person, as a human. And then one of the doctors suggested Botox, so we gave it a try. And back in the day, that's my understanding is that's why it was invented, to settle migraines. And then modern medicine took over, and they went away from it. And since Botox has made a bit of a reappearance, particularly around looking good with females, they've noticed that those females haven't essentially got the migraines they once possibly had. So,
true.
So there was a bit of a push to go back into it. I was lucky. They told me, listen, it's 50%. It's going to work for you. It's not, but we'll give it a crack. And they said it takes about a week to work. And then I actually caught up with a couple of footy mates straight after I had it first injected, and I told them what I'd done. I was still bleeding a little bit. I get them in my temples.
Oh.
And it's,
how deep does it go?
Oh, it feels like it's going out the other side. Like it's not a pleasant injection. Like it's just, it's painful. And I still had a bit of blood, and they're like, and I told them what and they were like, geez, that's pretty out there. And then one of the guys was Hurdy, who played Chris Hurdy. He rang me about a week later, and he said, hey, mate, did it work? And I was like, I haven't had a migraine. I haven't had a headache in a week. And I was like, maybe it has worked.
Must not.
And it did. It worked really well. Like today, I feel like I've got a migraine today. I'm ill in the stomach, and I don't feel very well. I feel like I could vomit, but I don't have the blinding headache that I used to get with the migraine. So I feel like it just takes away the blinding headache. I still feel possibly I have the other symptoms, but I don't have the headache.
And those symptoms are from concussion, the stomach and stuff?
Yeah, I just think it's a migraine's happening.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not getting the headache side of the migraine, which I can live and deal with.
Yeah.
But what you can't deal with is when that headache kicks in, you're out, lights drawn. I sort of go a bit funny in one eye. So if you see me start rolling around, you know what's coming.
What do I do?
Turn out the lights. Lie me down and turn out the lights. I'll be good enough.
So is it you came in wearing glasses? Is that why you wear glasses?
I'm meant to wear glasses full time, but if I'm in bright sunlight, so one eye doesn't dilate properly.
Oh, okay.
Still, so it doesn't work if I'm in bright sunlight. It takes a lot of the glare, and I just feel like it's on my brain, like the sunlight. So I try and always have some sunglasses on or close, or keep out of the bright direct sunlight.
That's crazy. And it's about, it's been 20 years since you've last played?
Yeah, 20 years.
Far out. It's a long time to still be having
I thought we'd probably, be a bit better. But, as soon as I got rid of the migraines, I felt like I could live life. Like I was honestly in bed 3-4 times a week. And sometimes I go to bed with a migraine, I wake up with one and spend the whole next day with one. Like it was just, there wasn't a lot I could do. And then if I did too much, I just knew I was going to have a bad week. So I was trying to find a balance in those early days until, the injections I saved my life essentially. I went from being, not even a human being able to function as a human to wow, I'm good to go.
Yeah,
but and initially they'd last for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, and it sort of the doc said just keep trying to push it out as far as you can. So now I'm like maybe every other year, which is quite good.
Man,
but I know when I need another injection, I get the fatigue back, and I real sensitive to noise, real sensitive to light, and I'm very lucky that I have a very good neurologist that I ring up, and he fits me in at the back of a day and does a few injections, and I'm out of there. I'm pretty lucky. Yeah.
Did you ever have the psychosis side of things that other people have spoken about?
No, I didn't. A lot of people and my docs were all like, are you depressed? And I was like, I'm not depressed. Just take away the headache.
Yeah.
Like I can't just take away the headache and I'm fine. I'm good to go. Just It's been 2 years. Get rid of the headache. And it's like a big angry grumpy bear. You've just got a headache the whole time, and little things become big things. And I wasn't a nice person. I wasn't a human being. I was just a big angry grumpy bear. I had 2 young kids, and it was a tough couple of years.
Yeah, that's when it gets hard, eh? When you can't be the dad that you want to be. You've got 2 kids you want to raise, and you're stuck in bed with a angry bear in your head.
Yeah, and trust me, my children, they got every bit of the ADD I got, and they're out there and they're energetic. My 2-year-old, who was born post my head knock, he basically stood up at 8 months and ran. He didn't run. And he just ran, and he literally hasn't stopped. So, yeah, it was a journey. You'd pick him up, and his legs would be turning over, and just.
And you're trying to control him from the bed.
I was pretty. I wasn't in a good place for a couple of years, and it was hard. It was hard. Young children, 2 of them under. Probably 3 or 4 people know that, like, it's a battle in those early years, and I was struggling.
I guess the pressure it put on your wife as well and your relationship.
Oh yeah, it was terminal essentially.
Oh yeah.
So, but I was lucky. There's plenty of people, like there's some people that the Botox injections don't work for, and. Who knows where I'd be if that wasn't the case. I really felt after a couple of years I got those injections, and, I could be a functioning human again.
How many concussions did you have all up?
I played 10 years, right, and I'm pretty comfortable at least 3 or 4 a year.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and I'm saying there's probably a few more than that, but I'm pretty comfortable with 3 to 4 a year. At least.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And you know what? I never really had any symptoms the next day. Like I'd wake up, I had a bit of a headache, felt a bit slow and uneasy, and maybe took it easy for a couple of days after a big one, and I feel all right, and I'd just get back into it. And there was a time I think it was 2005 where I was just so fatigued. I was getting home. I'd drive home between trainings, and I'd wake up in my car in my garage, and I was so tired.
Oh.
And I'd look at my watch, and I'd just turn the car back on, reverse out, and head back to training. Another time I woke up in my hallway. I was so tired. I'd taken a few hits in a row, and I was sitting on the bed. I went to see Doc, and I was like, Doc, something's not right. I'm just so tired. And then the coach walks in and goes, "How you feeling?" And I was like, because I was a reserve on the weekend, and I came on and I took a hit and I went off. And then they had to play a man down, I'm pretty sure, back in those days.
Yeah.
So he came in and said, "Are you all right?" And I said, I just looked at him and I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, we've had a few injuries. We're going to need you this weekend." And I was like, I looked at Doc, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'll be good." But then I pretty much slept the entire week. We played Brisbane. We played Queensland and Brisbane, and we flew over a day early. And I think, like, leading up to the game, of the 24 hours before the game, I think I slept for 17 of them. And I was just exhausted. And I didn't know why. I was like, I've never slept so much. I should be feeling good. And
Did you know it was your head at all?
No.
No idea. No one.
And that's
did.
when Doc was like, you got some. During the match, we played the Reds, and we played Sam Cordinley was the halfback for the Reds, and we played Australian 21s together. So I know Sam reasonably well. I remember there was a scrum, and it was our feed, and he looked at me like dead in the eyes, and he's like, "Mate, are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, nah, all right." And then I think I came off with about 20 to go, and I went and sat on the bench, and I couldn't even stand up. I was just empty.
Yeah.
Like, I had nothing left. And my parents were there watching the game, and the game finished, and we won. I climbed the fence, and I went up about 4 rows, and I sat with mum and dad. And I probably sat there for about 15, 20 minutes, and I I didn't have the energy to get back to the change room. I was just exhausted. And they're like, what's going on? I was just like, I'm just so tired. And I went in and sat on the bed, doctor's bed in the dressing room, and just said, something's going on.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. And so we did some, he thought I had a fatigue syndrome or something, but I had the rest of that super off. I wasn't any good to anyone. I was just so tired. And then I tried some drugs. So I think I had probably 3 or 4 months off, and then came back for MPC on these drugs that were pretty harsh.
The bad. What sort of drugs? It's not like tramadol and stuff.
No, I was on like I think it's almost like an antidepressant they use it as.
Oh, okay.
But it makes you fatigued. I think it was anitriptyline or something like that. They were horrible. I had to avoid direct sunlight.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't react well with the skin and the sun. And I was just like, what? Made me feel horrible. And then I worked through that NPC campaign, and I was all right. And then after that, I just said, listen, I hate these things. I want out. I feel all right. So I went off them. And that must have been 2006. And then I came back 2007, played reasonably well, a super campaign. And then we played a semi-final in Durban, I'm pretty sure it was, and I took a really big hit in that game. And it was a big prop, blatant elbow to the head, and it knocked me out. I woke up on the ground, and doctor's there. He's like, "You're right." I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then, I think we might have been just in front. Anyway, played the last 20.
We stayed on.
You stayed on. Played the last 20, and then, I think myself, I thought, jeepers, that wasn't good. And then but that was the end of the season, right? So I didn't have any training or anything to do for the next couple of weeks. So I just laid low and took a bit of a rest, and then came back. Pat Lamb, 2007. Pat Lamb was the NPC coach, and he rang me and goes, "Mate, we're going on a away pre-season tour to Samoa and Fiji. You've got to play a game before we take you away." And I was like, "Oh yeah." So he wanted me to play a club game, and I was like, "Pat, what do you want me to play?" He goes, "I don't care. You just have a run around." And I was like, "What about under 85s?" And he goes, "Yeah, I don't care. I just want you to have a run around." Like, right. So I played a game 85s. And
how heavy were you?
I was at best I was 80. 81 was heavy for me. I like to be 79. The program always said 85 because that's what I thought it needed to say. But yeah, I knew if I was under 80, I knew I was fast.
Yeah.
And if I was a little bit over 80, I wasn't as quick as I thought I was.
Yeah.
So I like to be just under 80. But it was an 85s gap, so we played Marist against East Tamaki out at East Tamaki, and I was gutted because I turned up ready to jump on the scales, and they were like, "Oh, we might have a few guys like maybe a little bit over," and the Marist boys were like, "Well, we might have a few that may be a little bit over," and they're like, "Should we just not wait?" Let's not wait. So they didn't, and I was like, "Come on, this is my chance." But mate, I love the 85s. It was the first time in my life. I've always been little.
Yeah.
It was the first time where I was the big kid.
Yeah.
Like I was.
What position were you?
I'm not playing halfback, so I think I started at fullback, and then there was an injury, and I had to go into halfback, and I was like, oh, and I just loved it. Like I could run into a maul and run out the other side of it with the ball. Like I was just the strong kid, and I was just like, this is what it feels like. I had a great day.
It's just the dominant.
Yeah, I was like
the Jonah Loma of the 85s.
It was just so much fun. Like they got a 5 metre scrum, a penalty 5 metres out, and this big, well, he wasn't big, he's a loose 40, like came off the back fence, and they tapped the ball and gave it, just run it straight, and I just took a couple of steps forward and I lifted him up. I turned him upside down, and I was like, I can't do that. I put him back down. I was the big kid. It was a special day.
Yeah, and throughout your childhood, were you always the smallest?
Always,
by a long way?
always,
Yeah.
always. And always the smallest.
Yeah.
And I was tiny. Oh, I think I played first 15 at like 55 kilos.
Oh, wow. And that was in Australia.
That was in Aussie,
yeah.
which is, it's doable because back then there wasn't that Polynesian influence.
Yeah.
What there is here. Like when I come here, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how big are these guys?"
That's why you weren't playing club rugby. That's why you had to play fives.
I hated club rugby.
Yeah.
Because I could play club and not really break into a sweat. Like it was very stop start with the skills were that high, but it was a street fight. Like it was physically people running straight at you trying to maim you.
Yeah, not what you needed.
I felt like there was nothing I could get out of it other than an injury. So I really tried to shy away from club rugby.
Yeah. Why did you move to New Zealand?
Initially it was just an opportunity. My coach in Australia was a guy called Kelvin Farrington, and he played on Auckland. He played it in the early 90s, late 80s with Auckland as a winger. He's a little winger, and good mates of his was Joe Stanley. He was a player agent, Smoking Joe. So Auckland were looking for a halfback because Junior was going to be away with the All Blacks for the 1998 NPC campaign. So I came over and played a trial. Graham Henry said, "Yeah, come over and play a trial," and he's like, "Yeah, come back." But then the day I landed. So I got picked up at the airport, got in the car, and the guy picked me and goes, "Have you heard the news?" And he's like, "Oh, Graham Henry's going to Wales."
Oh.
So I was like, I honestly thought I was going home the next day. I thought, that's probably not good news for me.
Off to Wales.
But yeah, had a pre-season with Auckland while they were trying to find a new coach. And then played some NPC. And I went from, being in Australia where rugby is a game, but whatever, I got injured in the last trial match before NPC in 98. I got some ribs separated by Todd Blackadder, who I honestly thought almost killed me. He hit me so hard. I thought he'd broken. I thought I was broken straight through the middle. And I was walking over to the physios, but as they were running on the field, the closer they got, the lower I got. And then by the time they got to me, I was on the ground. And they're like, "What's wrong?" And I was just like, I'm not sure if I can swear, but I was like, and they're like, what does that mean? I just like, So I separated some, I ended up in hospital, separated some ribs.
How did he get you? What was the...
They made a line break. And I made a tackle just before the try line, and I got up and I went in to try and get the ball.
Oh, yeah.
So he had like a good 50 metres run up. And then it just hit the ruck. And I was 75 kilos. And he hit the ruck with a 50-metre run up and landed. And I honestly thought I was dying.
That'll get you.
It was, oh my God! But the very next week was the Ranfurly Shield match. Auckland played Waikato in Waikato.
Yeah. And
they said, "I'll come down and you sit in the stand." So I went down with the team. I had no idea. And then the Shield match, the guy. In the chainsaw, in the cherry picker.
Is it possible?
Just like, there was probably 30,000, but there probably could have been 50. Like I was just, what is this place?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I honestly, I could. The cowbells. I was like, this is a different planet.
You weren't having head issues then.
No,
the noise wasn't.
No, I was all good then.
Yeah.
I was all good. I just couldn't believe New Zealand rugby that this is more than a game of rugby. This is almost a religion.
Yeah. Did you feel like you fit into the environment, or
I being an Aussie, I was it's very hard. Like Australia's in the South Pacific, and it's an island in the South Pacific. So like all big island influence in Auckland team, and the island boys, they're allowed a little bit of leeway here and there, but the Aussie, I tell you what, he was like, everyone was into the Aussie, so it was, I remember we played Southland in Southland, and we had a few beers after the match, as it was done back in those days.
Yeah.
And we're in the team room, and they made me stand on a stool and sing the Australian national anthem in front of everyone. We're having beers, and I was like, yeah, so I'm singing away. And then they just started throwing bottles at me. So I'm singing and ducking bottles. It's probably because I'm a bad singer more so than anything else. But I was ducking bottles, and there was a bar behind us in the team room, and it was just smashing bottles behind the bar. Like, it was just an all-in. And that's how the Aussie got treated, pretty much. And
was it always banter, or did you actually feel a little bit uncomfortable?
No, it was always banter.
Yeah.
It was always banter. And it's just the way Australia and New Zealand are. Like, we just banter, right?
Yeah.
And pick on the Aussie, and I guess I was pretty bulletproof and whatever, boys, and took
Gave
it in my stride and gave a bit back, which they didn't like. But it's such fun days. But I think I was very fortunate. I think we had the best era of rugby. We had the post amateur era where we were getting paid for what we love to do, but also there was no social media, and if you won things, you can do that. And if we went out as a team, people would buy you drinks and pat you on the back, and it was all about having fun with them. I sort of feel like society's changed a little bit now, that you've got to hide away from being in public, which I really don't think it's helped our younger rugby boys in the environment they're in right now. Yeah,
it's fair, because you can't go out and do what you used to do. Like the social media threat is just everywhere, and it's only one person to get a video of something that, like, imagine if that footage of you singing the national anthem and bottles were getting smashed behind the bar got out these days. It would be absolute. You'd have a field day on your radio show.
It's just like they can't even do anything half that. Like, I've got, there were good times they had, and because you were winning, good on them, let them go. But I really feel for the kids. I know for a fact they don't have as much fun as what we used to.
Yeah,
which makes it hard.
Yeah,
and they're just kids, right? Some of these kids are 18, 19, and all their mates are doing crazy stuff, and yet they've got to be held to account. I find it's difficult for them.
Yeah, and everyone looks at them as the role models. So if they make one little mistake, they're now brushed aside or targeted.
Yeah, it's tough, but it is what it is.
It's the game.
But what it means is you just can't grow up doing anything wrong, and that's hard because kids, particularly boys, learn from mistakes. Yeah. Well, hopefully they learn from mistakes. and that's I feel it's a different environment to what we got to play rugby in.
Did you feel like your form improved when you moved to New Zealand?
I was young. I had a game. I compare my Australia rugby to New Zealand rugby because I had a game just before I came over here for NPC in '98. New South Wales played Scotland, and Matt Williams was the coach of New South Wales. So all the Wallabies were away, and we just had sort of like a weekend game against Scotland. And I sat on the bench. I thought I'd get a start, but I didn't. Matt Williams was my first ever rugby coach at my school. He was my first ever school coach of rugby, and then he was the New South Wales coach. So I was like, I'm a chance here to play. There was an injury. Sam Payne got injured, and I was like, I'm a chance here to play for the Waratahs next week. And anyway, I got called in on the bench, played Scotland. I think I got 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the end, but they pumped us like 40. I think that was a pumping. And then a couple of years later, once I'd been in New Zealand, Scotland toured New Zealand, and Scotland wanted a game what they'd win. They wanted to come to New Zealand, win a game, so they put a Barbars team together. It was called the Northern Vikings, and they said, put a game together, get some school kids, get a few NPC players, a couple of Super Rugby players, and we'll have a game, and we'd quite like to have a win. And so it was pretty much the same Scotland team, and we put like 50, 60 points on them. And we got together like on the Thursday, had a few beers, come up with some moves, and had just absolutely pumped this international team.
Jeez.
And that's where I think the difference was. My game improved, but it was just such a different level playing over here. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the All Blacks were playing NPC. Like they were big competitions, Some of those matches were, there'd be, 6 or 7 All Blacks on each team.
Yeah.
And just going at each other. It was good rugby, and that's why I guess 40,000 people would turn up to Eden Park.
100%. Like you used to have a stacked backline too. I remember that Auckland side and the Blues side. Yeah. What special players sort of stand out for you?
I always loved playing with Semi Tuitupo.
Oh yeah, he could have.
Like he wasn't much bigger than me, but it was like you just cannot run into a human being. At that speed, being that little, but he'd win it. Like he'd come out better. He
would have been good in your under 85s team.
It would have been call ambulance this time. I seen Semi. So 2003, we played the Waratahs, and the Waratahs were meant to win that year. First game of the comp in Sydney, Waratahs were meant to win. They were favourites, and They had a short line out, and David Lyons came off the back of it, straight off 9, straight down to 9, straight to David Lyons, who'd come off the back fence, and he was coming straight at me, and I got off the line a little bit, but not too much because I knew it was coming. I sort of planned to get ready to take him, and he was a big boy. He would have been 110, like at full noise, and I got ready, and then bang, Semi hit him at full noise in front of me, and I thought he killed him. And I just couldn't believe. And Lion stayed down, Semi bounced back up, and I was, to this day,
he had one less concussion.
To this day, that is the greatest hit I've ever seen. Hey? And a little man versus a big man, just hit him ball and all.
Just timing. And
he was so strong in the contact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't believe
that's a cool memory.
Little Semi, mate, he was a weapon, but feared. Like we knew other teams were pretty quiet when Semi was on the field, so he was a weapon. And for a little man to do that in a big man's game, special kid.
What about someone like Rupeni?
Oh, freak.
Yeah.
The thing, so Rupeni, I think probably could have run in the Olympics
that fast,
but he was so lazy that because in the Olympics in a 100-meter race no one chases you, that he probably wouldn't have been that fast. Like, he was always as fast as the person chasing him.
Yeah.
But never, I don't think he ever hit top gear because he didn't have to. Because the person chasing him had already, can't get him, But in 3 steps, his ability was in 3 steps he'd be going flat out.
Mm.
And that's hard defensively to stop. That someone can just get moving that quick.
Yeah.
But he was rapid.
Man, he was good. Especially that 1 year in particular at the Blues, he was just untouchable.
It was 2003.
That's the one.
So the semi-final, we were playing the Brumbies and we had a captain's run. We had a captain's run on number 2 at Eden Park. And we were like, all right, always start down in our own 22. We've got a line out 5 metres out. Throw the line out. This is the start of the captain's run.
Yeah.
Rolling more, roll it out, I box kick, and the ball bounces. And I was like, that's not meant to happen. And I was like, I looked at Rushy, Xavier Rush, captain. I was like, Rushy, is that, are we all here? And he gives it out 1, 2, 3, and he counts. And then he yells out to Fitzy. Sean Fitzpatrick was the manager. He's like, Fitzy, I don't think we're all here. And Fitzy gives it out 1, 2, 3, 4. He's like, and then Rupeni had a minder. So just to make sure he was on training on time and all that sort of thing. And his name was Ken. So Fitzy yells out to Ken. He's like, Ken, are we all here? And Ken gives it the old 1, 2, 3, 4. But Rupeni wasn't there. And so Ken ran to his house, which was opposite Eden Park, to get him. He comes back and...
was that Ken's job?
Yeah, it was Ken's job to get him to training. And Ken was at training without Rupeni. It was a system that should have worked, but it didn't work. And anyway, Rupeni throws some boots on, and we finished the captain's run, and he was real chatty and lovey, and boys, and I was like, "You're drunk."
Oh shit!
The Friday before the Brumbies game, he was like 10 a.m. training. He was drunk. And I was just like, well, I'm not sure where this is going to go.
And he dominated.
Absolutely dominated. I think he scored 3 tries.
Yeah, I remember the pickup. It was the wet game, eh? Yeah. Far out. That's crazy. Imagine if he was professional.
But yeah, like talent, endless.
Yeah.
Endless talent. And just... it was a shame. It was a shame. He could have been a Jonah.
Yeah.
And a bit of a shame, but life's different in the islands, and you grow up.
Well, that's it.
You
just grow up. They know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, and what about Carlos? Like you two obviously had a close relationship, 9-10 for a long time.
Carlos, he was so good at what he did. I remember one of those early matches. I was playing with them, and it was an NPC match. And they were short on the blind side, so I picked the ball at the back of the ruck and suited down the blind side, and I got tagged just. And there was a ruck, bit of play, he stopped, he comes up and he goes, mate, he's like, just give me the ball. I was like, mate, I've seen a break, I've got to have a crack at it. He's like, give me the ball. I was like, all right. 5-10 minutes later, we're playing the same sort of things. I short on the blind side, pick up the ball, and I was like, I give him the ball, and he just that in and away, right, where he's around the outside, throwing dummies, and gone, scores a try. And as he walks back, he looks at me and he goes, And I was like, all right.
I'll give you the
I
ball.
was like, all right, let's get him the ball. And then that was it. The quicker I could get him the ball, the more time and space he had. So it just became get him the ball.
Yeah.
And we worked pretty well together. We played a fair bit of footy, and just get him the ball.
Yeah. Combo. What a combo you two had.
Mate, as quick as I could get him the ball, the better he was. So I didn't need to run. I just needed to get him the ball.
Yeah.
And the people outside of him as well. We were stacked.
Yeah, you were far out. And I guess that sort of form led you to the All Black, All Black appearance.
Yeah, I definitely I don't think if I probably didn't have that combination with Carlos, that I probably wouldn't have been an All Black.
Yeah.
But we sort of worked well together, and then got the call up. Yeah, it's like it's a special day, and I felt like I probably played the best footy with him. Just realising, just give him time and space, and he'll make good things happen. And we had a few tests together, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he got injured. My first tour, end of season tour, he got injured and came home, and that was in the English game. He got injured in the English game, came home. I got knocked out twice in the English game, and
Twice in the one game.
yeah, and I was like, I might be going home myself here.
He stayed on.
I stayed on. I sat on the bench next week and didn't get on, and then played the third test. And
Jeez, that's brutal, eh?
yeah, I remember Doc Mayhew was like, you got to do the cog test, because
So they'd started concussion tests then.
they had a baseline test, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Because I knew the baseline test that I'd done was just rubbish.
Yeah.
Because I knew there might, I knew that if I'm ever going to need to play a game,
Yeah.
then so I did it left-handed and took my time and got a few wrong on purpose, and then I did the test, and they compared it to the baseline test, and he's like, he's like, you're good to go.
Far out.
But I mean, that's what a baseline test is, right? You know what it's there for. And if you're a competitor like we all were, and we had to be, then maybe this isn't as important as it needs to be.
Well, that's the beauty of NeuroCheck.
Yeah,
right?
well, NeuroCheck, no baselines, 2 minute scan, and it says yes or no. It uses it takes, the thing I like about it is it takes 400,000 data points.
Yeah.
So it's a brain scanner. We're getting data points in the brain. Like at the moment, you get knocked out, you get what's called a SCAT5 test. The doctor will do a SCAT5 test and determine yes or no.
Yeah.
But there's no, you can't compare that SCAT5 to a previous SCAT5. This is taking data points and information, and then where that leads to down the line, I find exciting, because we're doing studies at the moment. It's evolving into more stuff, but because we're scanning the brain and we've got data points, then they use AI to determine concussion, yes or no. But long term, I think we're taking data, and I think that may help us long term to decide, like a SCAT test, yes or no, but taking some data, and then we can compare 2007 with 2027, and we've got some information on one person's brain.
Yeah. How long have they been taking data or trialing it?
This thing's been been about 8 years, and about 8-year process in Aussie. So it's been tested rugby league, so Melbourne Storm, the Rabbitohs, Manly, Sea Eagles, the Waratahs. So it's been a boxing gym, and in America as well, some NFL teams. So it's been tested over those 8 years. It's old technology, just confined down into a portable version, and then they use. What used to happen is the machine used to do this massive big printout, 100 meters long, and then a doctor would get a protractor and measure all the data points.
Yeah,
and it'd take him weeks and weeks to do. But with AI now, they do that in 2 minutes.
Far out.
And they have an algorithm that they use, and at the moment it's showing 86% success rate.
Oh yeah,
which is a lot higher than most of the other tests.
Yeah, and better than the average parent on the sideline who's going to just make the random decision whether your son's been concussed.
You've been there, right? You've got kids.
Yeah, got 4 kids. Yeah,
you've been there when you've been on the sideline, and you're like, how do you know?
Yeah, you don't. Our boy fell off the tramp the other day. And I was like, oh, Jesus, where's my NeuroCheck? Hey, let's put this on his head.
I guess for parents, the only option, right, is to take your kid to an A&E.
Yeah.
And probably sit there for 4 hours, 5 hours
That's it.
with a lot of sick people.
Yeah.
And you finally get to see a doctor, and the doctor has a witness that he's got no real information about what happened, and
They tell you to go rest.
he's like, take it literally in Auckland. You get a pamphlet to say, if you have been, you get a pamphlet to say this is what you should do. Go home, don't go to sleep for 6 hours. Yada yada yada. Or if he thinks you haven't been, you just got a headache, it's go home and rest. Like both outcomes are the same thing, and there's no real peace of mind for a parent. I guess I'm a parent myself, and I've coached my kids, 20 years. I've been coaching kids at some stage on the sideline, and you just sometimes I feel like I know more than most.
Yeah.
But
you would. 40 concussions would say yes.
But even I'm like I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Take them off. But I'd always take anyone in my team off. I'd just say, that's a big hit.
Yeah,
Let's get you off, just to be safe. But sometimes I'd see it on the opposition's team, and I was like, listen, that was a big hit.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not a doctor.
Yeah.
He's right. He can play on. And I'm just like, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But, if that's what the opposition coach wants to do, then who am I to say, I know?
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of parents in that situation, and not just rugby, but any sport.
Yeah. The hard part about concussion is like you can take what looks like a massive knock and be sweet, bounce back up, and you can take a tiny knock in the right spot and you're absolutely gone, So
But that's one of the issues with the mouth guards that they're trying to introduce, right? So the mouth guards measure G forces, and you can have multiple hits in a game of rugby over 100 G. Like the Top Gun movie where it's like 10 G's blackout. So a rugby player can hit multiple over 100 G and not be knocked out, but he can have one at 26 and be knocked out. So it doesn't really. The mouth guards measure G forces really, really well, but they don't. There's no real information at the moment to say that this level of G force is too much or enough. It just they don't link. So I think they're using the mouth guards to say we need to be doing something, and something is, okay, this is a reasonable hit, you need to be tested off the field and get tested. I think. So it's more like a safety check for rugby than an actual concussion test.
Yeah. How do you see it working in the everyday life, or do you think every club has one?
We're talking the clubs we've spoken to are super keen.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a doctor on the sideline. Often there's a physio. So often there's a team physio, and the physio as a healthcare professional can administer it. So if a club owns it and they have a team physio, they can do a test on the sideline and help the physio make a decision, because the physio's not a doctor either, right? So they're looking for signs, but it's pretty hard for a physio. This is going to help that physio make a decision, yes or no, whether he can go back on. So, if you're a club player, your club has one, physio on the sideline, sit you down, 2-minute test. You can pre-log everyone's name, click on the name, pre-log, results come up, yes or no. Everything else seems fine, back on. At a junior level where maybe there isn't a physio, at least the club has one the parent can take. Instead of going to the A&E, can go to the club. Hopefully the club will have a physio. We're trying to look at all sorts of scenarios where the physio for the club might be in an hour early to do all the morning tests if anyone wants to be tested in the morning, or after the Prens game for an hour to anyone else to be tested. And it works up to 5 days post.
Oh, yeah.
So we can just give people that reassurance initially that they're not concussed. Go home, take it easy, have some Panadol, keep an eye on them. And then that information, those data points will get sent to a doctor. So if it says yes, check your doctor on Monday. At least he'll have a little bit of information and will help make his decision about what goes forward. But now New Zealand has the 21 days across all sports, the 21 days stand down. So then they'll go into that category.
And it's $3,000 per.
It's $3,000. So it's $3,000 per device. we're working really hard with sponsors and some bigger hitters around New Zealand. Some people have reached out where we hopefully we can get that down a lot cheaper.
It's pretty reasonable though, eh?
For a medical device.
Yeah.
Like the 3D MRI scanner that they're using with a team in Gisborne, doing some trials and stuff, like 15 million.
15 million?
Yeah.
What?
So we're talking $3,000, $30 a test. For as a parent, $30 for reassurance of what your kid may or may not have suffered. It seems pretty reasonable for me. And this is,
I can't believe that. 15 million, that's ridiculous.
well, I mean, there's some big medical devices out there, right? But they're not accessible to everyone.
No.
Great in the professional game, but in the professional game, there's 2 doctors. Each team has a doctor, and there's one in the grandstand, right? So, can you be in any better care with a doctor who's 8 seconds away?
Yeah.
Depending on how quick he or she can run onto the field.
Yeah.
So it can be used alongside the doctor to make that decision.
Yeah.
I spoke to Rob Nicol from the Rugby Players Association about it, and he's so when the HIAs first came in, it was like a 2-minute test, and it was like they come off, do a quick balance test, 2 minutes, go back on. And he said, that was probably about 20% accurate, and he's like, we got to get better than that. So then it went to 8.5 minutes, and they did a secondary test. So they did 2 tests over the 8.5 minutes, make a decision back on. Now they do 3 over the 12 minutes to make a decision. But they still think that those 3 tests might only be maybe 60%.
Yeah.
And we've got a 2-minute test that is sitting at 86%.
Well, mate, it's a no-brainer to have that as part of the HIA process.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys talk around how hard that HIA test can be to pass when you go off, even if you do feel sweet, because some of the questions and stuff, I don't know, it might be what's the score, and some people don't even care what the score is.
I used to always, what's the score? I was like, I think we're up. I know we're up, but I don't know what the score is or what day is it. And I was like, well,
it's Friday, Saturday, or
playing
Sunday.
club rugby, it's going to be Saturday Arvo. And he's, oh, yeah, you're all right. Sometimes in the end, I was like, don't ask. Don't ask me questions. I'm all right.
Yeah. And well, hopefully this is an absolute game changer.
Well, for the amateur,
Yeah.
right. So in New Zealand, there's about 35,000 concussions a year, and they reckon up to 50% of those don't go. No one sees a doctor; they just go undetected. So it is a problem. Car accidents and motorsport are number one, just because of the speeds and forces that are involved. Then equestrian, horse riding, horse racing, those sorts of horse jumping and those sorts of events are number 2, and then rugby and rugby league are combined into number 3.
Far out.
So, it's an issue. Kids mountain biking is pretty up there. Rollerblading and skateboarding and those sorts of things, because it's on concrete, are pretty up there as well.
Would drug damage be picked up, or like brain damage from drug intake?
Listen, if we did a study and we used the data points, possibly.
You'd have to go down a different,
You have to.
pathway, yeah.
So to say, like, we've got big plans for this thing, not just in being able to assess and detect concussion. There's a study underway where if it can detect concussion, can it also undetect it, where, say, you're good to return to play?
Oh, yeah.
So we can't say that it does that, but what we can say is there's a trial.
You're working on it.
Yeah. So it can't say we can't say anything unless it's been approved by the FDA.
Yeah.
That says what we say it does. And
Yeah.
so it's been approved by the FDA. So it can assess and detect concussion in 2 minutes. That's what it's approved to say.
Imagine if you had it through your career.
Well, it would have been a lot shorter, I feel. It would have been a lot shorter, my rugby career.
Would have played less games. Might have been longer. You
Well,
might have picked up your concussions earlier.
I would have. And I guess what it would have done is said yes or no. So instead of maybe you've had 4 knocks this year, you have had 4 knocks this year.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big step because, it's still the doctor's opinion, depending on who the doctor is, how much experience they've had. It's, it's such a reasonable, great tool to use alongside everything else we're using right now.
So when you retired from head knocks. How hard was that?
I, for retiring for anyone is tough. Like at 30, you got to find a new career. Is tough. But I was just so ill.
Yeah.
Like I was not a human being for 2 years. So, my everyday process was, just trying to be a human, not worrying too much about what I was going to do. And then once I got my injections, I was like alive again. I felt like I could live life, and then then it was then after 2 years that I was all right. Let's get into something. I'm capable again.
Did you get a career-ending payout, or how did you survive financially?
I got an insurance pay. There was an insurance back then, so I got an insurance payout, and that sort of covered the mortgage for a couple of years.
Okay, yeah.
And then actually my first job back was I was doing some work with Jeff Thomas on a fishing and hunting TV show.
Oh yeah.
So and that took its toll. Like I could have a couple of days a month with him, but then I'd have a week afterwards pretty light because
I was going to say being on the boat wouldn't be
boat
ideal.
and walking hills and doing exercise is all good, but it just took all of me, and then I'd be pretty broken for a week or so. And then once I got the injections, I was away, and I was manager for Auckland for 2 years, Auckland NPC team, 2010, 2011, and then 2011 I joined the fire service.
Oh yeah, that was right. Wikipedia was right. You were a fireman.
Yeah, so I was still a fireman, although I'm about not to be a fireman.
I'm going on strike.
We're going on strike
in
5 minutes. Fire service it's very disappointing. It's a tough place to work right now.
Is it? Yeah.
It's a broken system, and the community need to be aware that the service that they're being delivered is not fair on them. And it's not fair on the people who are working in it on the front line either.
Yeah. What needs to be done?
The first thing, listen, I've talked about this a bit. The first thing I believe needs to be done is someone needs to open the books up and find out. Like, no fireman is screaming, we don't have enough money to do what we need to do. There's a lot of money there. It's where does it go?
Yeah.
And the sheer wastage of money, taxpayers' money. People pay a fire service levy on their insurance, and where the money goes, I just don't know. There's been multiple examples, like $10 million on a payroll system that didn't work and scrapped.
Oh wow!
After 10 mil uniform, 10 mil worth of uniform that they realised they did no fire trials and possibly can't be worn into a fire. Mate, we haven't had a new fire trucks. They bought new fire trucks probably maybe 5, 6, 8 years ago. They've just been an absolute nightmare.
Far out.
They break down. We had 2 fire trucks a couple of months ago. The big New World fire just down the road.
Yeah.
In Auckland. The day after that, 2 fire trucks caught on fire. The fleet is just rubbish. The 30-year-old trucks that are being sticky taped together. Someone's going to die.
Jeez.
I mean, it's a tough job, but it's made even tougher when you know that the equipment around you is not going to work.
Yeah, it's inexcusable, isn't it? Really, to not have the gear. Far out.
It is. And the only question that needs to be asked is, like, no one's saying we don't have enough money to do this stuff. Where's it going? And I'm sure if they followed the money, I'm sure we'd find there'll be people going to jail.
Yeah,
because it's just you can't. Like, it's like 600. It's over 600 mil a year we get.
Far out.
That's a lot of money.
It's enough for a truck that doesn't catch fire.
Over the last 5 years, I've been screaming for trucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long. There's fire trucks around the world that are made as fire trucks. We're screaming out from some assistance in, especially the aerial fleet. Just grab a couple.
So how do you balance your firefighting radio?
I'm telling you, it's been a busy little while. It's hectic. I was really lucky. Like the reason I really enjoyed the fire service and got involved with it because it's a good team. I really enjoy that team aspect. So we have four boys and girls on the truck, and we work pretty tightly together. You know, not every day we get ourselves in a situation where we might be in a bit of trouble, but I certainly feel maybe twice a year I'm in a situation where I think my life could be in imminent danger.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoy that pressure situation, and I enjoy those moments. You know, they're hard, but you know, you when it's on, and there's a lot of downtime. But when it's on, it's on.
It's like footy.
It's like footy, and I enjoy those moments. And I knew I wasn't allowed to play rugby again, but I knew I wanted to be part of a team where it mattered, so I found that in the fire service, which I really enjoy.
That's cool. And where does radio fit into all that?
Radio fits in here and there. I'm like a bit of a fill-in on Sports Nation if someone's away or someone's sick or someone's on holiday. Like Kyle Mills is on holiday a lot, so I get the phone.
That's why it feels like it's a full-time job for you.
So I get the call in sometimes, but I really enjoy radio.
Yeah.
Like it's a good gig, man.
Yeah, and
good people just having yarns. It helps me remember good stories.
Yeah,
just like today. Remember, like I was so I absolutely love playing footy.
Yeah. And
the stories, I don't remember a lot of the on-field stuff, but I remember a lot of the off-field stuff.
Yeah.
Just with the boys and, doing what we did. It was a good time.
That's what it's all about, eh? Like the memories, and it comes up on here all the time. The memories that people remember isn't the trophies,
and
it's the little things.
You get a few boys and you have a beer, and then someone will say something you remember. It's just so fun because it was just such great times. And it's just I absolutely loved it, eh? And the only thing I sort of find hard is that we travelled around New Zealand a lot playing footy, but you don't really get to meet anyone because you're in the motel before the game, you're on the bus, you play the game, you're often quick after match back on the bus back to the motel for beers with the boys and fly out first flight the next morning because it's the cheapest one.
Yeah,
you don't really get to meet people in the communities, and I just, since I've finished rugby and getting to meet a larger group of people, like such a cool little country we have. And I think that's where rugby needs to find itself. I think we need to stop. I really believe we need to stop doing the after matches in a clubhouse where there's 50 people and need to take it to the wider community and have it on the field and mix and mingle and make it a bit more of a social event, a game of rugby.
Yeah, that's cool.
Have some beers with, don't have to have 30, have a drink and have a muck around with some kids on the field and make it a community event again. That's where I feel we've lost our way a little bit in New Zealand, particularly rugby.
And it sort of follows on what you said at the start around the younger guys coming through. They just have to go and have their beers by themselves in their room or as a group of five instead of a whole community because they're scared.
Well, they've had to become antisocial, right?
Yeah.
And because it's antisocial, we've lost that aspect of being social and making it about the community. And so there's a disconnect. That's why people are not going to watch. The crowds are bigger in the smaller regions because there is a little bit of community in the smaller regions, but there's just, it's broken in Auckland.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough on the radio show to talk to the CEO of Auckland FC yesterday. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're going to bring back boot parties.
Oh yeah, they've done it well, man.
Well, it's not really a no-brainer, right? Like make it a social event.
Yeah,
you got to make it more about than a game of rugby or a game of soccer. You got to make it a social event these days. I think New Zealand struggled a little bit post-COVID. Society just maybe seems to be a little bit angrier right now about all sorts of things, and it's tough living out there. I see it at work. It's people are doing it tough. So you need to take it back to the community level and work in that space to make people feel safe and happy again. I feel that's the only way forward.
You need to go for the NZRU CEO job, mate.
Oh, imagine what I would change. I would go. But it shouldn't be that hard, right? It's a community game, and we're our community loves it. Let's just make working in the radio. I see the other side of, people, you got to do a radio interview. And you're like, oh no, I did one last week. It's like rugby need to go, listen, we need every player to be talking to whoever, whenever.
Yeah. Well, that's how it should be. I don't think people appreciate it, do they? Like,
I think players get really nervous that they're not allowed to be who they want to be, who they are, and put on that, game two halves. Like the game is screaming out for personalities.
Yeah.
And be yourself. And you know what? Not everyone likes who you are. Not everyone is going to like who you are, and you're going to upset a few people along the way. Then bugger it. You just be yourself and be who you are and be true, and that's what people connect with.
Yeah,
and that's who people support and follow. Yeah. And that's where rugby. That's where we need to make some changes.
Yeah. Well, you think of other teams that would just do anything to get that sort of publicity, and then you've got, people saying, nah, don't want it this week.
Yeah.
Well, we have gone to the questions on Instagram, and plenty came in for you. A lot of them were probably about some of the stuff.
Edit, we are 18. What are we here?
First one's rolling malls. I'm guessing that's a big topic for you.
Mate, so when you know how you said I was going to be CEO of New Zealand Rugby, first thing I change, if you score a try from a rolling maul, it's particularly if it's 5 metres out, it's only worth 3 points.
Yeah.
If you score a try from your side of halfway, it's worth 7 points. It's worth 10 points, and you don't need to kick a conversion for it.
Yeah.
Because what I want to see is entertaining rugby, and I want to see some risk versus reward. The risk of a rolling maul from 5 metres out is not very high.
Yeah.
So it should only be worth 3 points.
Yeah. If it collapses just before the line, you still get the 5, and you pick and go.
Yeah. Listen, and it's use it once. You got one chance. Once it stops, that's it. Use it or lose it.
You do not enjoy a maul.
I don't, and I don't.
No.
But you know what?
Anyone.
Yeah, thank you. And that's my point. I'm talking for the people, on behalf of the people. People don't like rolling mauls, except if you're English, and they love them.
They do love it.
They standing ovations.
Okay, how much did he get paid for the Vortex Mega Howler ad? And why him in DC? Like, that came in a few times. People still remember you as the Vortex Mega Howler man.
Listen, I look back on that day with fond memories because I remember thinking to myself, God, Dan is a shit actor. and that's where that's at, I reckon. We remade it a few years ago for Movember. Dan was really good. We did it again for Movember, and just basically same words and took the absolute piss out of it. It was good. It was good value. How much do you pay? I tell everyone I bought a boat with it.
Oh, really?
And then they go, and then they don't mock me about it. So it's not entirely true, but
a raft.
Yeah.
Inflatable.
I was like, well, I bought a boat with it. And they're like, oh, okay. And they leave me alone. But it wasn't great TV, was it?
It was great TV. Everyone remembers it.
Oh, poor Dan. It was terrible.
How did you get the
they just asked me. They like, do you want to do this? And I was like, hell yeah. Well, yeah, of course I will.
Yeah. What a product.
Why wouldn't I for a bit of cash?
And a free Vortex.
No, they like, because it was Hasbro, they're like, oh, do you want some toys? And I was like, oh, yeah. And I think I was building a batch down the Coromandel, and I was like, some toys from down the Coromandel would be mean. So I went to the factory, and they just opened up the car boot, and they just started shoving games and toys, and I was just like, you sure? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I opened up the back seat. I was like, a bit more room in here. And they just, yeah, whatever you want. I was like, oh, yeah.
That is cool.
And then they gave me some cash on top of it. I was like, I probably would have done that for that.
For free.
Yeah. I think a couple of years after, they're like, this is really good. They wanted to do another 2 years of ads, or they wanted to do it in Aussie.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan was jockey. It was well on his way by that stage. And he was like, hell no. And I was like, no, come on.
Can't throw it to myself.
I was like, come on, dude. So they wanted to release it in South New Zealand into Australia. And I was like, yes. And Dan was like, no. I was like, Dan won that one.
Oh, that's classic. Okay, funniest changing shed yarn from the Blues.
Oh. I'm not sure if it was the Blues or Auckland. We had so the Auckland dressing shed, Blues shed, used to have a big spa bath, like a 15-man spa in it. It was like a swimming pool essentially, but it was a spa, and it was a much bigger room than the visitors. It had this tiny, crappy little room. Anyway, we're in there one day, and we had this lock Bryce Williams, his name was. He was big, tall lock. He played a bit for Northland in the end.
Oh, yeah.
And he was good, but he sometimes it took him a bit of encouragement to get him ready for the match. So we had this really passionate doctor. Doc was he was intense, right? He just loved footy. He just loved every physical. He loved everything about it. So Doc would come out and he'd grab Bryson, and this is before kickoff, 5 minutes before kickoff, and he'd grab him by the shirt and he'd shake him a few times, and Bryce would be like, yeah, and then he's like, no, bro, he's like, he'd shake him a bit harder. Bryce was like, he's like, yeah, and then he'd beat on his chest and he's like, come on, man, he'd be like, yeah, and then he did some tuck jumps, and because he's so tall, he jumped through the roof. His head went through the roof, and the whole team were on the floor 5 minutes before kickoff, rolling around with laughter. And then we sort of composed ourselves, and we're like, people are still laughing. We're just like, oh my god, he had dust due on him. And then we dusted him off, and we ran out, and then after the end of the match, we won. It was just hysterical, eh?
That's so good.
He jumped through the roof. Like,
Must be low roofs.
Oh,
or he's got a massive
mate,
jump.
he was a big boy.
Yeah.
And he just... Oh,
that is classic. Okay. Stories from the zoo. I'm not sure what zoo this is.
I worked at Auckland, but back in the day between Super Rugby and NPC, there was like 3 or 4 months where there wasn't much going on, playing a bit of club rugby, and I got really bored. And JK was our manager, and he's like, well, what do you want? I was like, I'd quite like to get a job, just do some, low key, nothing too stressful. And he's like, what do you want to do? And anyway, he came up with the zoo. So
you worked there.
So I got a job at Auckland Zoo.
Oh, far out.
Mate, it was epic, eh? So the first day I get there, they're like, right, you're going to clean the elephant enclosure.
Yeah.
So the elephants at night were inside this big enclosure, big giant bars, and they were chained by the foot to the bars. But they would just lie down and they'd eat food all night, and they would shit everywhere. So they give me a shovel and a wheelbarrow, and I go in, and there's 2 elephants, and there was like 30 wheelbarrow loads of shit every day. So I go in and I'd just rip it, and I'd get all the shit out, then I'd hose it down, some detergent, scrub it, and then hose it down again, and it'd be clean.
Yeah.
And they were like, it would normally take someone the day to do that, and I'd have it done by a smoko.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And mate, it was a cool. I was probably only there for 3 or 4 months.
I'm surprised you're not still there.
Mate, I loved it. It was pretty cool. There was a baby rhino was born while I was there, and I was playing with the rhino. It was like it couldn't walk. It'd sort of bounce everywhere.
Yeah.
Mate, born at 80 kilos, as heavy as I was. I was like, jeepers. Mate, I had a good couple of months there. Worked hard.
Cool. And you did that while you were playing?
So that was pretty much. So what we do for Auckland, it was post-Super. So for Auckland, we'd meet in the Auckland Domain, and we'd run every morning.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd just meet there, and as a team, and we'd run. There's a track called the Ho Chi Minh track, and we'd just run tracks. 1 loop, 2 loop, do some stretches, and go home. That was our morning.
Yeah.
So we meet there at like 6, run for an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
40 minutes to an hour, and then I'd fang it, jump in my car and fang it straight to the zoo to pick up some shit. An elephant shit is like it's like a lawn bowl, but there's probably about 300 of them. I had a great time. There's some stories, but I can't.
That's good stuff. Okay, how do you think your career would have panned out if you stayed in Aussie?
Maybe I grew up wanting to be a wallaby.
Yeah,
and I went to a big rugby school in Aussie, so I always had an ambition to be a wallaby. I may not have done as well with the fact that most teams I played in the early days, we had a forward pack that dominated, particularly against Australians, and I was going forward. So it's very easy as a halfback if your forward pack's going forward, and I don't think Australians get a lot of that good go forward ball. So and being a little halfback, maybe I would have struggled over there a little bit.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
So the whole sliding doors, where would you have been?
Yeah. So I'd like to think that I maybe would have got a crack somewhere along the line, but it's hard to know.
Yeah. Okay, next one. How would you have handled your concussions differently, knowing what you know now?
I would have rested. Like what I needed to do is rest, is give the brain a chance to settle down. post. I think that the new rules around 21 days, I think they're a great start. I believe that it's the recovery. It's like a broken arm. You got to give the brain some time to settle down. And the people I speak to that had the big head injuries, they, like I did, struggle post because I was probably trying to do too much. And you just like a broken arm. The only problem is your arm's in plaster, but your brain's not. You can't see it. So people working really hard to get back to where they were is often the worst thing you can do. I think rest initially is the medicine that's required.
Good answer. Okay, next one. Does your brain health scare you?
I have my times. Yeah. Stats don't look good for me going forward. That's really hard to say, but that's where I'm at. But when I think about that, it's a tough pill. But then at the same time, I'm lucky to know that I can't sit around and wait for something to happen. I may have 10 years, I may have 20 years, I may have 30 years. I don't know. But what's important is that I try and live as best I can now because of what may happen. So that's my attitude, and I think that's a better way to live life regardless of having what may be a brain injury or not. Yeah,
how's your memory and all that sort of things?
My long-term memory is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But that's often the short-term memory. Sometimes I'm like, oh, my God, that short-term memory is not great, but I talk to friends around me that haven't played rugby and their short-term memories just as crap as mine. So, where that is, I don't know, but it's hard, forgetting stuff. You don't know what you've forgotten.
Yeah.
Like I'm not great with names and those sorts of things from the past. I recognise a person, but my understanding is most people are like that.
Yeah. What is normal? That's the hard thing, eh? Like, what is a normal memory to have?
Yeah. So I just try and be happy today.
Yeah.
And be thankful today rather than, what'll happen tomorrow will happen. I can't control that now.
Yeah.
So just be in the moment now, be in today and have some fun. And
And the topic of CTE, like where does that sit with you?
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah.
We need to do more, right? But unfortunately we can't. I've got to be careful what I say here because I hope that by collecting data, we may be able to help in that area going forward. By doing SCAT-5 tests alone, it's not going to help that until it's at the end of that process and we can open up and see the brain. So I just hope by the collecting of data that I understand there's some pretty exciting stuff happening around 3D MRI, and there's some encouraging things happening there. But it's still early days. But I just think the more we collect data, the better situation we're going to be in going forward.
Yeah, it's going to do no harm, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely not going to do any harm by taking a non-invasive 2-minute test. It's definitely not doing any harm.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Okay, last question. Best piece of advice for a Woodlad listener?
Enjoy today. So my life theory is health and happiness. And if when it all comes down to, when at your very rock bottom, the two things that you need is your health and your happiness. And if you work on those two things every day, I think you're going to be in a better place for it.
How have you worked on those?
I try and have fun.
Yeah.
I try and have not too much fun. I think that's a slippery slope that I can get on that I find hard to recover from these days is having too much fun. So I like having fun, and I like to do that. I like to find the fun part in every situation and have a bit of a laugh. And you can't take that too far, and you got to be in the middle.
The sweet spot of fun. I've never heard that.
The sweet spot is where you need to be, and with health. sore backs, sore heads, everything's the same. And just, I think I like to work on my fitness every day. I like to do something every day. If it's walking, I do a lot of walking now. I can't run too much anymore. I used to love running, but I can't run. And you know what? Walking's all right.
Yeah.
So if I get a 40-minute walk in, I actually feel good. And I think, I've done a bit of work with Movember, and they said last year, getting fit is 3 to 4 times better than the best medication for depression.
Wow.
And that's how simple it can be, is going for a walk every day.
Yeah.
No pressures, no stress, listen to the birds.
Yeah.
Go for a little walk. And I feel like I'm a better person.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what life is about, right?
Yeah. Mate, love it. What a way to finish. One of the best.
I never thought anyone would ever listen to me.
Mate,
there were plenty of teachers who were like, I don't think it's a good idea to listen to you.
But considering you've had around 40 concussions, like you look like you're in a really good space. Your head looks like you're strong. Your memory, you've been able to remember your career pretty well, and keeping busy and keeping healthy and happy.
I think having something passionate about as well. Like,
yeah.
We need to get better, and I'm hoping we can all come together and get a bit better to find a better solution. NeuroCheck may not be the thing that solves concussion around the world, probably won't be, but right now it's something that is definitely going to help. I think we can all see that. So that's a passion. We got to get better. Professional athletes have a doctor. Amateur athletes don't. Mm. The weekend warrior doesn't have a doctor on the sideline. So let's help that person. It's probably what percentage of people are a professional athlete, rugby player?
Oh, low.
So we got 90% plus of the people playing rugby don't have a lot of assistance in that space.
Yeah.
So let's help them.
Mate, you're on to an absolute winner.
Well, I
game
hope
changer.
So. Mate, I hope so. I really do. And I really do.
Yeah. I'm a fan, but I appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been an absolute honour. There you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Thanks to Betcha for bringing you this episode, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments.